Welcome, everyone, to the School of Heaven and Earth podcast. I am your co-host, Merlin.
And I'm Crystal.
So, we're talking about practices that we can do for upcoming potentially apocalyptic times. This is a follow-up to our last podcast episode where we talked about the astrology and some of the prophecies about the times that we're coming up into. And now we're going to give you some practical steps and things that we think would be good for you to do and that we'll be doing and that, will help us all together. So right now, as we're recording this, the moon is in the sign of Virgo. Virgo is associated with the end of summer and the preparations for winter. And that's kind of what we're going into now, potentially difficult times ahead. So we're thinking about the best steps that we can take for our lives and for the lives of people around us moving forward.
Yeah, when we say like apocalyptic, right? That can trigger a lot of fear,
I'm mostly
right?
being just tongue in cheek
Yeah.
with that. Yeah.
But it does feel like that sometimes, right? And you'll hear a lot of that language around these times, as we often do during big transitions, right? Then there is a lot of loss of life right now in the world. Every day we're losing more biodiversity. There's a lot of loss of human life. There's the potential for a lot of suffering for a lot of things that appear to us to be very Saturnine, right? And that's what we're coming into out of this, great conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, which is Saturn's masculine domicile. And that's, in fact, precisely the medicine that we need to bring in order to flourish during these transitions, in order to make the most of these times, right? It's an Aquarian energy.
Mhm.
And so we have with us today for this episode a beautiful Aquarian plant, ally horsetail, which is this ancient primordial plant. It's, pre-seed bearing, and it has a lot of silica, a lot of minerals, a lot of beautiful, dense, crystalline structures that are going to work with the Aquarian parts of our body, right? Our hair, our nails, that the layer of like slightly hardened dead skin on our edges that form our boundaries and peripheries. And all of these structures connect us with our invisible allies and our invisible community around us, right? So these are our antenna. These help us to bring in, new ideas, new guides, new energy from the stars from beyond that veil that Saturn holds with the beyond. And so last time in the last episodes, one of the main remediations that we gave for this time was being in community, right? A lot of the prophecies are around the fact that we as humans are only going to survive if we're living in community, and that's with other people, with other humans, with the other than human world around us, and of course, most essentially, with our invisible guides, our allies, our ancestors, with the stars and the nature spirits around us. Right. So this remedy that we're working with right now for Aquarius season in the School of Heaven and Earth, Horsetail is going to be is a phenomenal ally for doing that. And you also see this in the doctrine of signature, and that a horsetail is in fact, a hollow tube, just like our hollow bones, which for those of you who are familiar with, the shamanic language or like the language of journeying, becoming the hollow bone is the ultimate goal of being a seer, being an oracle, being a prophet, being somebody who brings in new messages and guidance for their community, for to help them guide their way and prepare their path. And so with Horsetail, one of the daily practices that we're recommending, and kind of like a renewed commitment that Matthew and I made last week, just before we left Bali, was to make sure that when we're getting in that state of fear, as a daily practice, when we find tension in our body, when we feel like the messaging that's coming from the world is too much, or when we hit hard times, we're going to make sure that we go inward and find our internal community, right? We all have younger selves, part of ourselves, that sometimes take the steering wheel of our consciousness, right? Some of you might be familiar with the idea of having an inner council. That's what our teacher who we've had on, Jolie McIntyre, calls it. People work with internal family systems or internal children, parts of yourself that sometimes come forward, get scared, and take the steering wheel because they don't trust you, right? Or they're triggered, right? And they feel like they're not in a safe space. So it's really important to go inward and find that internal counsel and let them know that, they're okay, that you're going to take care of them. But in order to do that, right, you do have to feel okay first, right? And in order for you to feel okay, a lot of the times you need to go outward. You need to reach into the ethers and make sure that you're feeling guided and that you're open to the guidance and protection of your outer counsel, right? Of whatever, ancestral spirits you work with from the fae of your land, from whatever astral counsel you have. Some of you might have angels, some of you might have medicine animals, and of course your beautiful plant spirits who, whisper into your ear. So it's important that you check in internally. My inner children are okay. And in order for them to feel really okay, you're going to need to make sure that you're feeling held by that counsel. So that as a daily practice or multiple times a day practice is, I mean, do you want to speak to how
Yeah,
profound the shift can come?
many of the people listening to this have had spirits, guides come to them and talk to them before, whether in visions or in dreams. You've made contact with particular deities, particular spirits, animal spirits, whatever. Every single day, sit down, relax, maybe light a candle, and ask them for help. Welcome them into your sphere and make a connection with them every day. With, wherever you are, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Open yourself up to any messages that they may have for you. And even if there's no specific messages or anything, just keeping that channel open for them. You'll find yourself being intuitively more naturally guided as you open up your life for them to come in. You can talk to them directly. I'm also thinking that, for people who don't have who haven't made contact with anything like that, you don't need to know them by you don't need to know their face. You don't need to have them by name. You can just maybe start like a simple journey practice or something, and close your eyes and just welcome in your guides more generally, and they'll know they'll know to come. You just welcome them in like
Yeah.
that.
And we make this a regular part of our moon rituals in the school of heaven and earth, working with our guides, getting to know our guides at something that, I refer to and, many people refer to as this central fire, right? So when you light your candle and welcome them in, you're recognizing that that flame is part of the eternal flame, right? That's at the center of the universe, that it's the center of your heart, and which is in fact the same, right? So when you're welcoming in your guides, you're opening up this, space-time portal to this center space where anything is possible. And your prayers are particularly potent. Your word is particularly potent. So when you light that candle, come into your wide-angled vision. We've talked about this before, paying attention to your periphery and settle into your body, right? And you're going to feel like, even if you can't see your guides coming, you're going to feel in your heart. If you're in wide-angled vision and you're centering your attention on the sensations in your body, you're going to feel their presence. And then slowly, slowly, if you make this a daily or multiple times daily, right? It doesn't take more than like 30 seconds to just come into wide-angle vision, check in with your heart, and reach out for another intelligence. Let your larger body, right, take center stage, right? You might be familiar, I feel like we've talked about this before, your electromagnetic field, which is centered in the center of your heart, right, reaches out 3 meters on any side of your body. And within that 3 meters, there's a whole universe, right? A whole universe that is you, that is your consciousness that we've been taught to kind of ignore, right? But this, this Aquarian intelligence is very aware of the fact that this whole field is me,
Mhm.
right? That this invisible space is, beautiful gateway to the realm beyond the fixed stars,
Mhm.
where our guides, our ancestors, our allies, and we call, alien, extraterrestrial, star friend intelligence can,
Yeah.
come in and meet us and guide us.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, so just to reiterate, summarize all of that, it's the one of the mainstays of the kind of prophecies that we study. We've
Mhm.
worked with peoples that we've worked with, is that it's community that will save us, and that's you have community already with so many different guides and allies that are just waiting for you to reach out and make contact to them with them. And it's a very, very simple, very easy thing to do. Even if you don't always feel their presence, just reach out, make contact with your intention, with your heart, and you will be heard.
And a really essential aspect of all of this is that you're when you make contact, that you're giving them space in your life to do something, right? Like I just had a conversation with a beautiful friend yesterday, and I reminded her that our guides want us to give them jobs, right?
Mhm.
Like our guides, our ancestors, our allies, the spirits around us, our plant spirits. It's like they love it when we ask them to do something for us,
Mhm.
right? When we give them a task, right? That's not like we're very conditioned to think that that's, being a burden, right? And that, our guides and our allies, they might have something, so much more important to do, right? Like I don't need to ask anything else of them, and just can give them gratitude, just feeling their presence enough. And it's like, actually, it's a greater gift to them when you give them a role in your life, space to take up in this material realm with you,
Mhm.
right? That's like also the job of the hollow bone. That's also the job of the channel. It's like, here's this thing that I really need help with. I really need to feel your protection today, Durga. I really need to feel your guidance today, Gabrielle. I really need you to keep me strong today, Dandelion, right? Like they love doing these jobs, right? Because that gives you more connection with them. That gives them more mass to take up in this material world, which they love, right? And that's part of making this world a more beautiful place is doing that directing, channeling that energy. And it also allows you to just be more relaxed, be more surrendered, fall into more of a state of beingness, which allows you to appreciate more of the beauty of this world.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, think of how many times you've loved and appreciated feeling needed by a loved one. And it's like that for them too. Um,
Yeah, this like you'll notice that if you have resistance to this idea of giving your guides and spirits like a job or asking them to do something, that you probably also have resistance to asking loved ones in your life for help,
mhm.
right? But the fact is, when we ask for help, when somebody does something for you, it creates stronger social bonds, stronger like feelings of intimacy than when you do something for somebody else.
Mhm.
It's actually the greater gift in terms of intimacy is asking somebody to do something for you, not giving something. Right? Gratitude is wonderful, and we all need to feel gratitude for this life every single day, but we also need to ask for what we need, right? And simply placing that trust in them, like knowing this job is going to be accomplished today by my eagle, right? Like if that's one of your guides, it's like that eagle's like, yeah, we're a team, right? It makes everything so much more so much more tangible. And as you do that, the more and more tangible, the more and more you're able to give and surrender over to your guides, giving, more and more of your stress, your anxiety, your fear, your needs over to the other side. It creates more space for your prayers to be manifest, and for your human community, right? Or like your other than human community to begin to take mass,
Mhm.
to materialize.
Yeah. Um, so I think that was the big practice that we wanted to give all of you. And I think it's pretty crucial, and it's whatever your spiritual discipline is or your spiritual background is that you're coming from, that's something that you can do. It's fairly universal. It's pretty ubiquitous. Um, Additionally, I think in terms of as we're thinking about daily practices for you to do, one practice that came up for me within my own tradition, the Taoist tradition, that I thought would be very, very helpful for all of you would be standing meditation. So if you're not familiar, standing meditation, it's kind of in the name. You are meditating and you're standing. And there's lots of different postures that people can use that they'll employ in standing, but and you can look them up online. There's lots of good sources online about how to do it. But the general gist of it is that, you're by standing you and holding a particular posture, you create an opportunity for tension to be released from the body and replaced with healthy, good circulating chi. And as you hold the postures for longer and longer, you'll create a more profound connection with the energy of the earth, which is extraordinarily grounding and stabilizing as all of the chronic tension and stress that you're holding up in your body starts to get dropped and released towards the earth. You start to move and walk in alignment with the earth and with the energy of the earth. And basically, it's one thing to be able to sit with your eyes closed and have a profound experience, but standing meditation with your eyes open is a little bit closer to what we're doing in the everyday world. And so it's a closer analog to our life and the natural stressors and things that arise in life. So learning how to be relaxed and equanimous and present with your energy, with the spheres of energy around you, while you are standing and your eyes are open and you're feeling some tension and pressure in your body is a great method of conditioning you to stay relaxed and equanimous during the regular stressors of life. So again, we're not really in the kind of setup here where I could teach you how to do standing meditation. There's lots of great
It is something you
resources
teach
that
in
you can do.
Gnosis.
It's something I teach in Gnosis, shameless plug. But and there are lots of great resources online too.
We'll include a link.
Yeah, we'll include a link for that. And yeah, it's but like just standing and sinking your weight so that your center of gravity is in your abdomen and your dantian, and holding a particular posture with your palms flexed so that energy can start to circulate through your body in a very, very particular way. It creates a lot of mindfulness and it creates a lot of alertness, especially. It could be easy within meditative disciplines to just kind of zone out. But with a practice like standing, you have to be kind of focused and alert and attuned to what you're doing, which again is excellent preparation for managing the stressors and the chaos and the discombobulation of everyday life
Especially in these rapidly
in
changing
these rapidly
times.
changing
Yeah.
times. Yeah. Yeah.
And so these two practices are both kind of leading towards similar places, right? Which is more of that state of surrender and trusting the spirits of the earth, trusting your guides, trusting your ancestors to take the steering wheel,
Mhm.
right? Like along with you, like recognizing that, as you surrender into the earth, right? The earth is you. The earth is holding you up. There's nothing that you have to fight against, right? You can merge, right? And find more strength, find more stability, find more structure in that merging. In the same way that your inner children, right, need to still have work and properly merging with you. and you still have more work and properly merging with your guides, right? And all of these things require surrendering, releasing tension
Mhm.
first so that the energy circulates and flows smoothly. So
Yeah.
there's ways in which, these two practices are, two different ends of the same pole.
Yeah. I mean, you can even do them at the same time
Yes.
if you want. And on an esoteric level, the standing is designed as a preparation for more, elaborate mudras and hand positions, and even lead. It's like in some traditions, those being linked to particular spirits and deities that you can contact. And so you start to learn how to move your sphere and adjust the energy of your sphere in a particular way so it resonates with particular deities and allies that you have. There's always fun things to learn. But yeah, just like this posture that you see people doing frequently, like the
Hug a
hug a
tree.
tree pose, is a pretty good base neutral practice, and you'll find that as you just sit and stand in that with for like 10 minutes even, and you start to feel your energy cycling throughout your body more and more, you may find it gets easier to access and contact your guides and allies in a more like focused, grounded way. Yeah. Um, so that was the big practice that I wanted to share. And then another kind of more simple practice that I do that I give to my students a lot, or clients, is in the midst of a serious Saturn transit, which is what we're sort of preparing for on a more mundane global scale now at the Jupiter-Saturn square. You do a Saturn ritual. And you could do a basic Saturn ritual just by waiting for the planetary hour of Saturn, and getting a little black cloth and putting a candle on there, lighting a candle, lighting some incense. So you do just a little ritual like that in the hour of Saturn, and you ask Saturn, you welcome Saturn in, and you don't need a fancy invocation or anything like that. You just welcome Saturn in and call them out by name. And when you feel the presence come, you ask Saturn two questions. What is it that you're trying to teach me now? And what can I do to align with the lessons that you are giving me? So you can see and then you just write down the messages that you're getting directly and, let it influence your life. And so you're talking directly with the planet that is in some way causing the stress, who's creating the lessons that we're all going to learn. You see exactly what this planet is trying to do in your life, exactly how this planet is trying to affect and influence your life with the first question. And then the second question primes you to find out what you can do, what your homework is, what's expected of you. And naturally enough, if you just start doing the things that Saturn tells you to do, generally it will start to get a lot easier, just all on its own. And that's something that you can do during any Saturn hour, any day. If you don't know what the planetary hours are, I'll leave a link in the description, and just find an hour and then do that ritual sometime between now and ideally when Saturn goes into Aries, when things might heat up a
At
little
the end
bit
of May.
more. At the end of May, on May 25th. Yeah.
And so the one last note that I wanted to leave it was reminded by the ritual with Saturn, which, asking those questions, is, that's so beautiful, but so many people have trouble, trusting the answers
Mhm.
that they get
Mhm.
to those questions, right? Like, am I just making it up? And I just want to encourage you to turn off the critic who's asking, am I just making this up? Right? And if you have trouble receiving any answer, like I just didn't get anything, just listen to your body, right? Like ritual is always more profound. Connecting with your guides, connecting with, your allies, your inner children. It's always going to be most effective when you're paying attention to the sensations in your body, right? Like pay attention to where there's tension, pay attention to where you feel relaxation, pay attention to where you feel numb, right? To where you feel heat, to where you feel cold, to where you feel tingling. Like anytime you're doing, meditative work, journey work, or ritual work, it's so important to listen to what this beautiful vessel has to say, right? Because it is your most essential tool for magical practice and, this whole business of being human in general.
Mhm.
So let your body guide the way. when it comes to those answers. And even if you just start distinguishing sensation, it's like that's the beginning and the end of an answer.
Yeah. So,
Right?
yeah, well said. Um, and that's yeah, don't overthink it. Just yeah, don't overthink it. Just first impressions, what's coming up to you. Of course, this kind of work is easier and easier to do if you have a daily meditation practice.
Right.
Hint, hint, wink, wink. You want to become the powerful magician, witch, shaman that you want. You gotta, kind of do the work. And so this is yeah, that's it'll help with that. Some kind of daily meditation practice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because you learn to follow those threads of sensation to thought to memory to, oh, this is that, that this is a message, right? Like thoughts build like sheaths within the body, and you learn to follow threads. And sometimes for some people, they, just come very quickly. And some people you have to do more excavation, but a daily practice will help you to be able to distinguish what's distraction and what's actually really coming from the body.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, because sometimes the mind can play tricks on us, but if it's coming from the body, then you know that it's real. You know that that's from you for you.
Yeah. And generally messages from spirit come with some kind of sense of peace. That's metaphorical. I think you know what I mean. A sense of peace, like there's a stillness behind it. There's not so much like an urgency oftentimes. Like it's like what you said is if the message from spirit is true, it's going to be just as true tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, that's always a good rule of thumb as
yeah,
well for distinguishing the
absolutely.
mind from spirit too.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting into
That's a
a
whole nother
topic for another
topic.
episode.
It's a whole nother topic, how to distinguish those kinds of things. But yeah, that's good to start.
Just one of the, yeah, the staying in the body was the big thing
Yeah,
for now.
for
And
sure.
the standing meditation is absolutely excellent for
That will
doing that,
certainly help
for
with
teaching you
staying in
how
your
to stay in your
body.
body.
Yeah. Okay. And I
Okay.
think that's it. I think that's what we wanted to
Yeah.
share.
So if you have anything that if you do you have a journey work practice? Do you have a practice with working with your inner children? Let us know about it. How do you connect with your invisible community? How do you think of community and the role of community in your life? Let us know. Do you have, other ideas for meditation practices for the time? Put it in the comment. Like and share. Love having you all here, and we will be back soon.
Yeah. All right. Take care,
All
everybody.
right, bye
Bye
everyone.
bye.